Welcome to the Football Game Plan NFL All-32 show, where we break down every game every week across the NFL. I am David Hassig, and with me is the czar of the playbook, Emery Hunt. It's become almost impossible to predict anything this season. All of a sudden, the Falcons and the Jets are back in it. Where did this come from?
Well, Sam Darnold tried to tell you guys a couple weeks ago, if they just keep winning, they'll be in the playoffs. So they're 3-7 right now. They got a big win against Washington. You talk about it all the time. They won the NFC East.
Yeah.
So let's see what they can do this week. So you're right about Atlanta, though. Whatever was told in that bye week by Dan Quinn, the head coach, sell it, bottle it up, and make a ton of money because they've turned their season around.
Apparently, shuffling all of your coaches to different positions somehow works. We'll talk about all the games coming up this week, but first, let's get into the 4-minute offense.
Hey guys, Jennifer Mariwaika here, and here's your NFL 4-minute offense. Week 11 was an interesting week of football, beginning with the disrespect for the league by the brawl between the Cleveland Browns and Steelers. Instigated by Cleveland's Myles Garrett, the NFL has moved quickly down the list of those involved, announcing suspensions late Friday morning for Cleveland's Myles Garrett and Larry Ogunjobi, and Pittsburgh's Marcus Pouncey. With appeals for Ogunjobi and Pouncey this week, the league will also be facing Garrett's appeal, where the defensive end has requested to be present in person in New York to plead his case. Garrett is looking to decrease the 6-week minimum, along with establishing clarity with regards to the terms of an indefinite suspension. In the battle of MVP candidates, Lamar Jackson is crushing the competition. Having gone head-to-head with Deshaun Watson, the 22-year-old took another step towards winning the MVP award Sunday. He rushed for 86 yards, which means he effectively threw 6 touchdowns for fantasy owners, and he's been a massive difference maker at a position that's not easy to be in fantasy leagues. Remarkably, this marked the first time Watson has ever been shut out in the first half or lost a game by more than 2 scores during his life. Interesting to say the least was the massacre by the Jets over the Redskins in their own house nonetheless. The 3-time Super Bowl champs were everything but when they trailed 20-3 in the first half. The first home start of first-round draft pick Dwayne Haskins' professional career was nothing to celebrate after being outgained 262-60 in total net yards and managing just 3 first downs to New York's 16. But it was the message sent to Daniel Snyder by loyal fans to sell the team that were heard round the world. But no matter how unsuccessful his ownership has been for 2 decades, there's no reason to believe he'll head in that direction. And then, of course, the case with Cap continues. After 2.5 seasons away from the game, Kaepernick returned to the Atlanta Falcons practice facility to show the 25 teams that showed up what he has to offer the field. Being distrusting of the league that he sued, this played into his decision to move the workout to a high school some 60 miles away. Only 8 clubs made it there, and just 6 watched him throw. He didn't look good enough that he got people to stop wondering if he ever wanted to play. I'm Jennifer Mariwaika, and this has been your 4-minute offense.
Now let's talk about the Thursday night game for Week 12. The Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans find themselves in a dogfight in their own division, which makes Thursday's game so critical. Houston coming off a huge loss, the Colts coming in off a win, but both need it. What are the 3 keys to victory in this game?
Well, first of all, the Colts got their quarterback back last week in Jacoby Brissett, and he proved to be huge in that ball game against Jacksonville. But they have to continue to play great up front. Their offensive line was solid last week. I thought they did a good job in protecting him. And going up against Houston, I guess to throw out a key for Houston, when you look at what they do well, is working touchdown and check down in the passing game. So Deshaun Watson and those receivers have to find the matchups to isolate to get the football deep down the field. They can do that. They can have some success. Defensively for Indianapolis, it's about collapsing that pocket around Deshaun Watson. You saw the Ravens do a great job of that, playing push versus pressure, making him play from within that tackle box, and don't allow him to escape and extend. So that's a big key. And defensively for the Texans, stopping the run. There'll be no Marlon Mack in this ball game. Jonathan Williams is now going to be the starter for the rest of the season, looks like. So you can play the run on the way to the quarterback. If they can do that, they can make Indy one-dimensional in this game.
Who do you think wins this ball game? Because, as I said, this is a huge one in the division. Both teams with the same record. Who wins this game and why?
Both for the record and also for the wild card spot, too. So there's a lot of teams vying for that 6th spot in the AFC playoffs. I do like Houston in this ball game. I trust their passing game. I think in this matchup against Indianapolis, they can have some success throwing the football vertically down the field. I think Deshaun Watson and company rebounds, gets the win, and knocks off the Colts.
When we come back, we will have all of the big action from Week 12 coming up right here on the Football Game Plan NFL All-32 show on the Game Plus Network. Stay with us.
I'm Alex Marinoni, offering you Football Game Plan's best bets for Week 12. At MetLife Stadium, we have the Oakland Raiders traveling to New Jersey to take on the Jets. The advantage goes to the Jets here, with the Raiders forced to fly across country for a 1 o'clock game. The spread is set at plus 3.5 for the Jets. I like them to cover here. Out in Cleveland, we have the Browns playing host to the Miami Dolphins. Since Kareem Hunt has come back, this Browns offense has been clicking, and that defense has been stout. But expect Ryan Fitzpatrick to ruin the double-digit spread. I like the Dolphins to cover the 11-point spread. The Denver Broncos head to Buffalo to take on the soaring Bills. These two teams' strengths are the defenses, but seeing the over-under set at a low 36.5, I feel like that is entirely too low for these two teams. Expect the over to hit in this one. In Cincinnati, we have the Bengals playing host to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Since the change at quarterback, the Bengals have struggled offensively and are playing a Pittsburgh team on a long rest after a loss. With the line set at minus 6.5 for Pittsburgh, I like them to win this game by at least a touchdown. Out in Philly, we have a great matchup between the Eagles and the Seattle Seahawks. Both offenses are capable of scoring, but these defenses have stepped up over the last couple of weeks. Seeing the over-under set at 48, I like both defenses to keep this score low. Take the under. In New Orleans, we have a crucial NFC South battle between the Carolina Panthers and the Saints. This could be make or break for the Panthers season, and unfortunately, they have been playing their worst football. The line is set at minus 9.5 for the Saints at home. I like them to cover this. This was Football Game Plan's best bets for Week 12. I'm Alex Marinoni.
Troy Anthony here, bringing you Football Game Plan's best bets for the Week 12 in the NFL. Starting off, we have the Lions heading to take on the Washington Redskins. I like the Lions in this one, minus 2.5. Dwayne Haskins hasn't proven anything to me, and Driscoll looks like he can run this Lions offense. Next up, I like the Atlanta Falcons, home against Tampa Bay on the money line at minus 210. Atlanta's reeling right now, whipping off 2 straight divisional wins. I look for them to make it 3. Tennessee, money line, minus 175 at home versus division rival Jacksonville Jaguars. Looks like good money to me. Tannehill has whipped off a couple of wins for the Titans, and I look to see him continue. The Patriots are 9-1. Patriots are the Patriots. I'm taking them at home on the money line, minus 290, against this Dallas Cowboys team. And finally, Green Bay heads to San Fran to take on the 9-1 49ers. I like Green Bay plus 3 here. Jimmy G hasn't proven enough to me. He's only ripped off 4 touchdowns in 2 games this year, and both of those games were against the Cardinals. Let's see if he can do it against Aaron Rodgers and those Packers.
Welcome back to the NFL All-32 show. Let's get into the Week 12 action, which has several intriguing matchups on offer. 4 teams, the Vikings, Chargers, Cardinals, and Chiefs all have the bye this week. Our first game features the Bucs looking for answers, but the Falcons are looking to continue the misery for Jameis Winston and continue a hot streak. The last thing Jameis Winston wants to see is a good defensive backfield, and the Falcons had how many interceptions last week? This is not going to be a good day for Jameis Winston if he turns the ball over.
Yeah, you look at Atlanta coming into that game last week against Carolina with only 1 interception on the season and then picking off Kyle Allen 75 times in that ball game. So Jameis Winston definitely has to protect the football. The problem I see here for the Falcons, their receiving core of Tampa Bay is very good. I think they can win those one-on-one matchups against the Falcons. Tampa has a better quarterback than Carolina. Jameis Winston, despite his flaws, is a much better player than Kyle Allen. So he's going to find some success. The problem is I don't know how much success they're going to have. You have a team coming in playing great defensively. They're getting after the quarterback. They're causing turnovers. Offensively, they're doing a great job and now using those weapons. So I think the Falcons have started to turn the corner. The offense has already been there throughout the season. Defense is now finally caught up. I like Atlanta to win.
Let's move to the next game here. The Broncos taking on the Bills. This could be a defensive struggle. That's at least what's expected. But the Bills are looking for their 8th win of the year. They are certainly overachieving.
Well, here's what happened last week against Miami. Josh Allen did a great job in playing the entire quarterback position. He was moving the football down the field. He hit some big throws downfield, played well in the red zone. He tends to always play well in the red zone. Denver had a 20-0 lead in that ball game, or 20-point lead in that ball game against Minnesota and lost it. But you like how they were moving the football down the field, put themselves in position to win the game against Minnesota. However, in this matchup, I think a nice defensive battle for both teams, but I do see Buffalo getting their 8th win. What they're doing now is they're playing very good complementary football, and defensively they've been consistent all season long. I like the matchups with their secondary against this Broncos receiving core. That's going to be must-see TV. But I do think Josh Allen playing how he plays inside the red zone will be the difference. I like Buffalo.
Buffalo's defense still one of the top 5 in the NFL. Moving on to the Giants taking on the Bears. Might be more new QB controversy in Chicago. Meanwhile, Daniel Jones and the Giants are coming off a bye, but can they get through a tough Chicago defense?
Well, here's the thing. When you look at Chicago and you look at what they do well defensively, they get after the quarterback and they turn the ball over. The question is, what does Daniel Jones do least? Protect the football. So that worries me in this ball game for the Giants from their perspective. So when you look at the Giants offense coming off that bye, it's not about scheme, it's not about personnel, it's can Daniel Jones protect the ball against his Bears defense? Because on the flip side, we know the Giants defense, despite having some talent in certain areas, they really can't get off the field. So it could be a good game for whoever's going to be back there at quarterback for Chicago, and they say it's going to be Mitch Trubisky, so his hip has apparently been magically healed. So I like the Bears in this ball game. This will be an ugly contest. I think Chicago will get a close win.
Easy bet of the week, take the under. Moving on to the next game here, the Steelers taking on the Bengals. We know what happened on Thursday night last week. Mason Rudolph, though, continues to struggle as a quarterback for Pittsburgh. Can the Bengals now, with a weakened Steelers team, get their first win of the year?
It's possible, and here's why. Because no Marquise Pouncey, and we know no Juju Smith-Schuster. James Conner may or may not play. They're banged up. Deontay Johnson is also out, probably, the injury, so he's bleeding from his ear. So there's a lot going on for Pittsburgh. So it's going to be all Pittsburgh's defense that they're going to lean on. Cincinnati gave Oakland some problems last matchup, but Ryan Finley is still a rookie. He's still prone to turnovers. So I think because of that element, Pittsburgh's defense will do a great job against Cincinnati. Another low-scoring game, but I like Pittsburgh to get the win.
And the Steelers will be happy to get back to football coming up this weekend. Next up, the Browns taking on the Dolphins. Talk about off-field distractions. Cleveland has a ton of them. They're rife with them, but the momentum is building on the field. They actually looked decent against Pittsburgh. They held them down defensively. Now they get a weakened Dolphins team.
Yeah, despite Mason Rudolph turning the ball over 4 times, they only put up 21 points. So you still have some questions about this offense. What was key in that game that no one talks about is that every crucial third down they needed to convert, guess where they went to? Kareem Hunt. So Kareem Hunt has proven to be a huge piece of this offense right now as he's in this will be his 3rd game back from suspension. I think the Browns have more than enough offense to get this job done. I think they will do a great job and get the win. I like Cleveland to win this ball game. And it's not saying that, this is a football team that's truly turned a corner, but offensively, I think they have enough to get a victory.
We move now to the Superdome. The Saints taking on the Panthers. Carolina, it looked like they were going to continue forward that momentum. Now they've really started to struggle. The Saints have continued to click. Their defense was outstanding last game. This one could be over by halftime.
Well, not necessarily, because you look at how well the Panthers defense can play. They're still very good defense. They provide an interesting matchup for New Orleans, who doesn't really have the explosive playmakers on offense. They have a really good player, a dynamic player, Michael Thomas, who catches everything thrown his way. They have Alvin Kamara in the backfield, but there's really no explosiveness within this offense. So Carolina's defense can have some success. Where they won't have success is on offense. I don't think the passing game will be what is going to help them in this contest. They need it to be. It won't be. Christian McCaffrey is a great player, but I think the Saints can focus in on him and make Kyle Allen beat them throwing the football, and the Saints will definitely get the win against Carolina.
If Kyle Allen has to beat you throwing the football, it's not a good day for you. Let's go to the last game before we take a quick break, and that is the Seahawks taking on the Eagles. This is going to be a massive, massive game for Seattle especially, but for the Eagles, they are just trying to keep pace with a struggling Cowboys team.
Well, here's the thing about Philadelphia. Every big game they've had this season, they have come up small. Minnesota, they lost. Dallas, they lost. New England, they lost. They have to find a way to win these big games. And that's going to fall on the shoulders of Carson Wentz and that offense. I think defensively they're ready, but they have to find ways to get better offensively. They did play without Jordan Howard last weekend. We'll see if he'll be back in this matchup. But I don't think, coming off of a bye, Seattle will fall short to Philadelphia. This is another big game. I like Seattle to win this one.
Going to be a huge one for them to keep pace as well with the 49ers in the division. After this short break, we will cover the latter and primetime games of Week 12 here on the Game Plus Network. Stay with us.
Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Ninth and Lux. Visit the website ninethandlux.com and check out the clothing gallery. Do You Music with featured artist IW in his latest album, Season 2. You can check that out on iTunes as well as doyoumusic.com. Nesby Phipps, art, life, entertainment. NesbyPhipps.com. Grind It Out Fitness. Visit the website grinditoutfitness.com and download the app.
Welcome back, fans. Let's return to the Week 12 predictions. The unofficial champions of the NFC East, the New York Jets, have started to find momentum with a healthy Sam Darnold. It will be hard to keep that momentum, though, against an under-the-radar Oakland Raiders team that has really just been doing their business and going about it and getting wins.
They're behind Kansas City for the top of the division in the AFC West. They're playing great football now, defensively and offensively. They have great balance on offense. The run game is working. Passing game is looking efficient. And defensively, they're starting to get after the quarterback by Max Crosby. Not even Cleveland Farrell is the one doing it. So they've done a great job overall. So with all of that being the backdrop, you look at what the Jets have done the last couple of weeks. Sam Darnold has protected the football, but they've also beaten both the Giants and the Washington Redskins. This is a tough matchup for them, a step up in weight class, so to speak. I think the defense of Oakland will continue to keep Sam Darnold on that downward trajectory. He had 2 good weeks. I don't think he can have a third because of this defense. I like the Raiders.
Going to be interesting to see with that front seven. That's been the big problem for the Jets, stopping them all year long. That offensive line has not been consistent. Let's move now to the Lions taking on the Redskins. Dwayne Haskins looked better in his second full start. Looked a little bit better for the Redskins, but he had no help around him. But this is a Lions team that is also struggling. So maybe this is a good game for him to get his first win.
Possible, but you also look at Jeff Driscoll and how he played the last couple of weeks for Detroit. He gave them a chance to win against Chicago and gave them obviously a chance to win last week against the Cowboys. So he's been playing great, I think, when you look at considering what it was thrown into in the last couple of weeks. So Detroit's offense doesn't look like it's taken a step back. Washington, like you said, Haskins showed improved play from the Buffalo start, but that offensive line, I worry about them against Matt Patricia and his defense front of the Detroit Lions. I think the Lions get the win. Haskins, you just want to see him progress moving forward. Hopefully they allow him to throw the football downfield more. So you saw that big 60-yard throw to Terry McLaurin. They got called back because of a hold, which, again, points out how bad the offensive line is playing. I like Detroit.
If he gets any offensive line help, he's going to be in great shape. Let's move on to the Jaguars taking on the Titans. Titans still very much in contention, but they're kind of treading water. Jaguars moving backwards. All the magic that they had early in the season is kind of gone. This is a big game, a must-win for Tennessee.
Yeah, you saw Nick Foles in his first game back play up and down, kind of struggled a little bit, expected. But Tennessee's coming off this bye week. Now they have newfound life because you look at this division. We talked about Houston. We talked about Indianapolis. The Titans are right there, and they're playing really good football on this win streak. So I think Tennessee can keep this train rolling. They're catching Jacksonville at the right time. The Titans' defense is doing a great job in turning the ball over. And shout out to Ryan Tannehill for playing great, efficient football and leading these wins.
Tannehill, all of a sudden, turning into a pretty decent quarterback. Despite getting all the trash he got in Miami, somewhat rightfully so, he's turned the corner a little bit maybe. He's getting a little bit more consistent. On to now the Cowboys taking on the Patriots. Bill Belichick, we know his biggest problem is stopping dual-threat quarterbacks. The question is, can he stop this one? Dak Prescott and the Cowboys coming to town. Always tough to play in Foxborough, but the Cowboys might have the right formula to give the Patriots problems.
Yeah, they have the quarterback that you talked about. They have the receiving weapons to where it's going to put a lot of pressure on the third corner of New England. So how they match up versus a Randall Cobb is going to be key. We saw Michael Gallup start to emerge last week against the Lions. We saw Amari Cooper do Amari Cooper things. And we've seen the tight ends, both Blake Jarwin and also Jason Witten, have success. And that, to me, takes a lot of pressure off Ezekiel Elliott. So maybe this could be the game where he starts to have that success running the football. He actually had the game-winning touchdown reception last week against Detroit. So Dallas has the offense. I worry about the Cowboys' defense because they made that a game against the Detroit Lions with a backup quarterback. So that's something of concern. But the Patriots' offense, to be honest, really doesn't give you that big of a threat like we used to see it, a couple of years ago with them scoring 35-plus points a game. So this will be a tight game, a big matchup. I do think Dak Prescott, who's firmly in the MVP race makes a statement in this ball game, I like the Cowboys.
Statistically, the worst Patriots offense since 2003. Of course, in 2003, they won a Super Bowl, so maybe it doesn't even matter. Let's move to Sunday night, and this is the game that was flexed into prime time. The Packers taking on the 49ers. The Niners showed great resolve, coming from behind to get a win last week, but they're going to almost need to be perfect against the Packers.
Packers are coming off a bye. Great defensive team. I love how they're athletic within the front seven. Can they run the football consistently against San Francisco? I think these are two of the same teams. You talk about the receiving options. They have a lot of length, athleticism. You talk about the running game. They can beat you with their running backs. Defensively, they're amongst the best. San Francisco is obviously slightly better in that regard, but Green Bay's defense is no slouch. The difference, quarterback play. Aaron Rodgers versus Jimmy Garoppolo. He's been skating by on thin ice for a long time. He did have the game-winning touchdown pass against the Arizona Cardinals, took advantage of that bad coverage and got the football out to the running back who scored. Great job right there. He's had some flashes of, okay, this is something that we could build on, but in bigger games, I don't know, man. I just am not ready to jump on the Jimmy G bandwagon. I think Green Bay gets the win.
And let's move now to Monday night. The Ravens taking on the Rams. The Baltimore offense, if it's even possible, looking more and more dangerous every week. But now the defense is starting to pick up to that offensive level. The Rams are still looking for consistency, especially at the quarterback position. This is not a good formula right now for the LA Rams.
They took the ball completely out of Jared Goff's hands against Chicago and just ran Todd Gurley. And rightfully so, because the Bears, they felt as though the Bears couldn't beat them throwing the football. So there was no need to put a lot of effort, so to speak, into this game plan. So they did a great job in playing to the opponent. In this one, they're going to have to use Jared Goff. He's going to have to find ways to attack deep down the field. The problem is, you look on that outside, Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith, all first-round corners. They also have Earl Thomas back there, first-round safety. So there's a ton of talent on the back end. Now, the Rams may get Brandon Cooks back in this ball game, which is a great thing for their offense, but I don't trust Jared Goff versus pressure. Baltimore has now found ways to get to the quarterback, and we know the Ravens' #1 offense, running the football, scoring the football, and also in efficiency and time of possession. I like the Ravens to win big in this one.
Baltimore still seen by some as the #2 team in the AFC. Be interesting to see how many more wins they have to chalk up before they
beat everybody.
Before they go to #1. Maybe they have to win the Super Bowl to make that happen. That will do it for the Football Game Plan NFL All-32 show. Don't forget, for all your football knowledge, go to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. Go to SoundCloud or iTunes, where you can listen to the NFL All-32 podcast with myself, Emery, Troy Anthony, and Alex Marinoni, talking about all the buzz across the NFL. For the czar of the playbook, Emery Hunt, I'm David Hassagen. Enjoy all the Week 12 action, and thanks for watching.